Okay, everybody, here we go. This is kind of the all-encompassing video after I just finished doing the Rogue 1,000 pound challenge. Got the shirt, accomplished my goal, had a total of 1,005 pounds within 1 year of a total hip replacement surgery. So hopefully this video stops as a hopefully this video serves as a one-stop shop for questions, answers. People can share this with their friends because I didn't think a lot of people had to deal with hip replacements, but after I made it public that I needed one about a year ago, the amount of people who reached out to me with, "Hey, what did you do? How do you feel? What are you avoiding?" All that stuff, it was crazy. So hopefully this helps people. Back in 2001, I had an accident while on active duty in the military, broke my pelvis, and I had two plates and a bunch of screws put in at that time. Because of that, it forever changed the course of my life, my posture, anyway, not in a positive way. It affected everything I did. And over time, those things don't get better. And so I knew that all the physicians said at some point in time, a total hip replacement is coming your way. We don't know if that'll be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or whatever. I probably should have gotten one a lot sooner based upon the level of chronic pain that I lived in and how horrific my range of motion had gotten because of bone spurs and other things that had grown. But from that initial injury in the year 2000, I went ahead and made it all the way to about 2023. Yeah, that's when I got my hip replacement. So let me try to share my screen here. Here is what my hip looked like in 2001 after the surgery. So let me open this up so you can see the x-ray. You can see the plates and the screws that were put in. So yes, here we go. Okay. So yeah, this is what happened. And if somebody is really good at looking at x-rays, you can probably see at the top, the hip's like a ball and socket. At the top of the ball, there's like this little peninsula of bone coming out of the top of the acetabulum that had just grown over the course of years, and that was impeding my range of motion to an astonishing degree. But that gear in there, that was my little friend for a long time, since 2001. So after that, it got to the point where on the right side anyway, I could barely put on a sock. Like I had to, it was awful. I couldn't fold one leg over the other like you traditionally would, like put on your sock and shoe. That wasn't happening. Took me forever to warm up to go below parallel, and then I was just like mechanically stopped right at parallel, and it was profoundly painful. Anyway, I worked out like that for years and years. And it just got to the point eventually that I couldn't take it anymore. It was affecting my quality of life to such a significant degree. Met with an ortho, figured out a course of action. They're like, yes, sir, you are a candidate for a total hip replacement. Partial hip replacement is usually just the head of the femur. Total hip replacement is not only are they going to cut off the head of your femur, put a new one on, drill down into the femur bone to secure it and anchor it, but the actual acetabulum, like the ball and socket, the socket itself, they're going to, I don't know, whatever they do to the acetabulum and replace it with some sort of synthetic material. And so I had a total hip replacement on November 15th, 2023, anterior total hip replacement. So they went in through the front. And here is a photo of, let me share my screen again, of what my hip looks like now. Here we go. Okay. So the interesting thing about this is all of the old hardware was retained. They did not take the old hardware out and then do the surgery. They, you know, did whatever wizardry they do in orthopedics and figured that that wasn't going to impede the new surgery. And when in doubt, if they don't have to rip all that stuff that's been in my hip for over 2 decades out, they might as well just leave it in there, in my pelvis, I should say. That actually made me happy. But you can see that's what my hip looks like today. And I'm basically bionic. That's what I like to tell myself. So my secret goal that I didn't tell anybody was I said to myself, man, if I could within 1 year of getting that hip replacement surgery have a 1,000 pound total, then I should just shut up and not complain about whatever my old numbers used to be. And truth be told, my old lifting total was like not much above 1,000 anyway. So this was a really big ask, and I didn't know if it was possible, and that's why I didn't tell anybody, honestly, in case I failed. But I didn't. Super cool. So on September 27th, 2024, I was coming off of a rest day. I felt really good, and I was like, man, I know I still have like 6 weeks before I hit the 1 year mark, but I feel good. I'm going to go for it today. And if I fail, I got 6 weeks to try it again. But I warmed up and it went great. That video of all three lifts is on the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel. You can check that out as well. And I got a 255 pound bench press. And the cool thing about that is we never really bench heavy. I bench heavy maybe twice a year. Other than that, it's like some 50-pound dumbbells for bench and just doing that casually and everything else that we do at Linchpin kept me at like a 255-pound bench press without even like working for it at all. So that's cool. Back squat, 335 pounds and deadlift 415 pounds. I had lifting shoes on for the back squat. And I didn't have a lifting belt on because I just don't like wearing them. That's it for the dead and the back squat. They just make me feel less comfortable, not more secure, so I don't wear them. And I felt like I could have maybe squatted a bit more, but I didn't want to push it. And I felt like I could have deadlifted a bit more, but I didn't want to push it because I knew roughly kind of where I needed to be. And I was happy once I got there. So yeah, it was a huge success. What's interesting to know was this was about 10 and a half months after my surgery. But for the first 2 months after my surgery, I wasn't like getting after it in the gym. I did a 2 month rehab program. So that was the first 2 months. So I've really only been like back to training for let's say 8.5 months because 2 months of rehab and then I'm at the 10.5 month period right now. So that was 8.5 months of training. So yeah, it worked really well. And if you're interested in learning more about the hip surgery and specifically the rehab program that I this upset some physical therapists, but I received the rehab program that I was supposed to do. It looked like it was just obviously given to every single human being, regardless of age or ability level, that comes in for a hip replacement. So it looked stupid to me and antiquated. And so I consulted with other folks that are smart, consulted with some friends who are orthopedic surgeons, and I said, here's what I think I'm going to do. I kind of created my own 8 week plan, and they were like, that looks good. That's what I did. And it worked really well for me. Not medical advice, not saying you should do it, just sharing my experience. That is linked under the show notes that I'll share with you in a second. 2 podcasts are also done on this topic with myself and Adrian Bosman on a different podcast we do called Very Not Random. If you want to see those 2 specific shows, you can dive into those. Again, maybe your friend's having a hip replacement or maybe you are. I'll share the screen on those as well. The first one that you'll want to check out is this one, and that is Very Not Random, episode 139, entitled Pat Needs a Total Hip Replacement. That's kind of um, self-evident title right there. And then the other one that you'll want to check out, so that was before I had the surgery, just once I learned that I needed it. And then after I had the surgery, and it had been a bit, we did this show here. And this is Very Not Random, episode 149, entitled Rehab After a Total Hip Replacement. And if you go to this show and you look at the show notes, there is a link in the show notes to that. I think it's roughly a 2 month rehab program that I created. You can click on that link, download it, check it all out, and you'll be good to go. And so, yeah, other things that I want to mention is let's see, is well, number one, I'm not remarkable in any way, shape, or form. I'm a very average athletic ability person. I was not endowed with any special athletic gifts or skills, period, end of story. The only thing I do have the ability to do is dedicate to something, focus to something, and grind if need be. And so I generally don't miss training days. And so I just trained since that surgery. I did whatever was smart and appropriate for whatever stage I was at, and I did it as frequently as I could. And then when I began out of that rehab period into the training, I just did the linchpin workout, whatever it was each day. And I just scaled or modified it to meet whatever I happened to have going on. And it was a long, slow, humbling road. Huge shout out and credit to the linchpin community. They helped support me in not making stupid decisions, not lifting with my ego, not trying to chase old numbers, but just being smart, appreciating where I was, scaling and modifying as needed, and just doing that day by day, week after week, month after month. I did absolutely zilch, zero additional heavy lifting, no extra heavy accessories, nothing extra heavy at all. Just whatever was the linchpin workout that day, which 5 workouts a week. Generally speaking, one's usually a classic heavy day, and one's what we would call a heavy day at a high heart rate, and the other three are three other things. And that was it. So let's see if I'm forgetting anything. I don't think so. If you want to be with really cool people, we'd obviously love to have you as part of the linchpin community. We're all around the world. People from in their 20s to their 60s of all athletic abilities, making smart decisions and getting ferociously fit, strong, and fast, as we like to say. There'll be a link to linchpin in the show notes here. Other than that, yeah, 49 years old, post total hip replacement. I'll take a 1,005 pound total with no additional training. So have a great day. I hope that helps everybody. And I guess to answer questions, I'm doing box jumps, I'm running. There's really nothing now that I'm not doing. Did squat cleans, back squat, front squat, like you name it. Uh, yeah, and life's significantly better after that total hip replacement. Have a good day, make smart decisions, and I guess we'll talk later.